Hello, Carrie. Hello, Judy. Hey, Kathy. Hey, Joan. Hey, Jenny. Jean. Rebecca, good to see you. Zareen, welcome back. Hello there. If you don't mind, we're not going to be judging what your kitchen looks like or how your hair is looking or anything like that. So if you don't mind, turn on your camera. We do love seeing all of you. I don't know, it just feels like one humongous, awesome community. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. It's great to see you all. I'm just going to wait just a few more minutes while everybody is still coming in and adjusting their cameras. Wonderful. Well, hello, dear friends. It's great to be back. It's great to be here in the June edition. I can't believe it. The June edition of Cooking with Bunyaad. Hello there, Lynn. Hello, David. Hi, Marge. My dancing Marge. Hello there, dancer. Hi, Christine. That's excellent. Well, we are really excited because today we are not only going to be cooking a million things, which I have to say, we did this earlier today with a group of kids ages 11 to 14. And so I'm here to tell you, if the 11 to 14-year-olds can make this recipe, no problems, we're all going to be good. But there is a lot going on. So first of all, how rude of me. Didn't even introduce myself. Sorry, Jean, I didn't introduce myself. I'm Jenny.
And I'm Yousaf.
And we are with Bunyaad Rugs. We are a fair trade rug company that works with over 850 families throughout 100 villages in Pakistan. Our North American office and main retail store is finally moved to our new location in the cutest little downtown of downtown Lidditz, Pennsylvania. It is a retail district that is filled with wonderful little eclectic shops like ours, and also wonderful eateries. So we're thrilled to be there. And well, now we not only carry our rugs from Pakistan, but we carry items from all of our fair trade friends, like 10,000 Villages, Serve, Global Mamas, like our aprons. Sorry, come on, do the runway. Yeah, runway, thank you. Level Ground Trading Coffee, Equal Exchange, Divine Chocolate, so many more of our fair traders. We're thrilled to have so many of you joining us today. Now, you know, when we started doing this, you realize it's now been over, this is our 13th Cooking with Bunyaad. We started this last May. Leonore, that's why you didn't sign up. You're with Rebecca. Folks, I just want to highlight these dear friends. These mother and daughter combo have been cooking with us for a lot of months, and one of them is normally in Louisville, Kentucky, and the other one is in Colorado. It is awesome.
We're in the same state for the first time in a very long time, so we're cooking together instead of virtually.
That is just fantastic. So good to see you so close together. Oh, that's awesome. Well, folks, back a year ago, we used to have to tell you where the chat was and the whole 9 yards. You're all pros at this Zoom thing by now. So in the chat, if you wouldn't mind just telling us, where are you all cooking from today, or where's your kitchens? I'm just sort of curious, where is everyone joining? So we're here in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. You see that little chat area down below. Tell us where you're cooking from. Washington, D.C., Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania, Louisville, Kentucky, Iowa, Baton Rouge, upstate New York, Louisville. Hey, did it again, Louisville. Cary Island, hello there, Eilish. Well, you know what? We had one little boy cooking with us today from Dublin, Florence, Massachusetts, Austin, Texas, Mechanicsburg. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. Sorry, Northern Canada, London, UK. Wow, thanks for staying up late, London. Gary, I really appreciate it. Portland, Oregon. Wow, we got some time zones. I love it. Vancouver. Well, folks, we are thrilled to be here. We are also
Hawaii.
in Hawaii.
Yeah.
Goodness, excellent.
And Loyola.
I can never, that's awesome. Well, far and wide, I love how this brings together all of our kitchens. So you're probably wondering, why in the world are two fair trade rug folks that I would like to give the full disclaimer disclaimer, and once you see our knife skills, you'll know this to be true. We are not trained chefs, nor ever intended to be. But we started doing this both as a way to share our love for cooking and Pakistani culture and traditions, and so that we can teach recipes to folks near and far. I never really thought it would be this far, but this is awesome. We love fair trade rugs. And honestly, and over this last year during the COVID, I'm not saying pivot because we all know it's been much more than a pivot. It's been a pirouette. But we thought, why don't we find ways, or survival, pirouette. We thought this would be a much better way to continue to create this fair trade community through cooking in our own kitchens. So thanks for bearing with us as we teach you some of our favorite recipes. We are super thrilled to have Ethan Frisch, the co-founder of Burlap and Barrel Fair Trade Spices. There's Ethan, who's enjoying upstate New York right now. Excellent. So Ethan's going to be joining us a little bit later. Poor guy is not going to be able to eat some shawarma with us. I'm so sorry. But he's going to talk to us more about the Fair Trade Spice Company, Burlap and Barrel, and about the farmer partners that he works with. So now, before I begin, I just want to thank the many, many fair trade stores that work with us to help promote this monthly Cooking with Bunyaad. For us, they're not just stores that we work with, they're our fair trade family. And without them, quite honestly, there is no way we could be able to provide jobs for over 850 families throughout 100 villages in Pakistan. So I want to thank the following stores that have helped to promote this event. 10,000 Villages in Redondo Beach and in Pasadena, California. 10,000 Villages in Cincinnati, Ohio. In Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. In Harrisonburg, Virginia. 10,000 Villages in Iowa City, Iowa. In Lincoln, Nebraska. In State College, Pennsylvania. Pachamama Market in Troy, Ohio. I do love that name, Pachamama Market. 10,000 Villages in Souderton, Pennsylvania. In Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania. And in Overland Park, Kansas, and Just Creations in Louisville, Kentucky, Louisville. And our Canadian fair trade friends at 10,000 Villages, Cobourg, Ontario, Village Goods in Edmonton, Alberta, Villages Calgary in Calgary, Alberta, and the society behind the long-standing fair trade store Des Mille Village in Pointe Claire, Quebec. Now, these stores either host an annual fair trade rug event or carry Bunyaad rugs year-round. And we finally, round of applause, finally have confirmed our 2021 rug event schedule. We had one event so far in Louisville, Kentucky this past April. And now we'll be heading out. Yousaf next week will be heading out to participate in rug events in Redondo Beach, California, San Pedro, and Pasadena. Now, yeah, sounds really rough, right? Because have anybody been to the 10,000 Villages Redondo Beach store? Anyone? Anyone? Raise your hand. Oh, this is how rough this rug event's going to be for him, the poor guy. He walks out his door and sees the entire beach right behind the store. He says he's going to be working hard.
Yeah, usually,
okay, you'll be
usually we
hard.
see it in the van. That's how we see it.
So, and also this past Friday, we started our annual Canadian Fair Trade rug sale and Village Goods in Edmonton. So check out this annual sale at shop.bunyaad.com. So without further ado, today we are going to be cooking one of our favorite summer dinners, shawarma. It is now, and I want to say something because I didn't think, and when we teach our group of cooking kids every Sunday, we talk about never assume that what you think is normal or regular is normal or regular for anybody else. And I did that. I didn't realize that shawarma is not something that other communities don't necessarily readily have. So shawarma is a sandwich that is usually wrapped in a pita or a naan. Super easy to make. So today what we wanted to try to do is also give you a vegetarian version, and could be made vegan if you omit the egg wash, and also a gluten-free version with the rice. So Can I just have a show of hands? How many of you are making the meat version? Meat. Okay, got it. Raise your other hand if you're making the aloo tikki, the vegetarian version. Excellent, excellent. Okay, beautiful. How many of you need the gluten-free option with the rice? Anyone?
Flour. That means rice flour.
No. Okay, making with the rice. Excellent. Okay. So we'll demonstrate a lot of these things. But I'm losing myself. All right. We are going to get started cooking. Are you ready, Yousaf?
Yes.
So if you're going to make the meat version, do you mind putting us to the down camera? If you're going to make it, well, actually not yet. If you're going to make the meat version, you have a decision to make. You have to decide which marinade you're going to make. Okay, there's 2 marinades in the recipe, a yogurt one and a oil one. Okay, we're going to be demonstrating the oil one, but we have made the yogurt one earlier today. In the end, it's not much different. Sort of, you throw everything in and you give the meat a nice massage. Okay, so meanwhile, discuss that in your household, which one you want to make. Potato people, if you want to begin, how many of my vegetarians are actually cooking with me? Anyone, or you're just hearing it? All right, so one's cooking with me, excellent. Okay, so potato people, if you could begin to peel your potatoes and boil them, peel them into small chunks and boil them. All right, Yousaf, let's get started. If we can go on the down camera. We are going to grab our chicken. All right, so we have boneless, skinless chicken thighs, and we went with the chicken thighs because they truly hold on to their juices so much nicer. So to make the oil marinade, what we're going to do is add a ½ teaspoon of garlic powder. Okay, folks, I will tell you, and I love this. The other day we had a lovely talk with Ethan from Burlap and Barrel, and he said, you know, I have a lot of my spices just on the counter, and we realized our spices usually just sit on our counter so that when we start to cook, we just sort of grab as the spirit moves. So, Yousaf, would the spirit move you
Yes.
to add a ½ teaspoon of garlic powder?
Sure.
Oh,
It comes down pretty nicely.
I see that you measure carefully, don't you?
Yes, but I can tell that's pretty much
Okay,
the right quantity based on all the culinary experiences. Yeah.
All right, 10 cardamom pods that you want to put either on, well, Yousaf, show us how to crush open a cardamom
Yes,
pod.
so you basically put them down, count what you need.
We need 10 of them. Need help counting? Huh?
Now I just need to take the bigger ones. I was getting the chunky ones.
Oh, okay, the chunky.
Yes.
All right, so you're going to take your 10
Yeah.
cardamom pods.
And I usually just use the same bottle. Just give it a little, just push down, and it nicely breaks it down. Just exposes all the seeds out.
All right, you're going to throw the whole pod and the black seeds into the meat mixture. Okay. 1 tablespoon, Yousaf, of mountain cumin. The tablespoon is right beside you. Right
I'm
here.
forgetting.
That's all right. So 1 tablespoon of your cumin seeds. Man, that cumin. Everyone take a big whiff of their cumin. If your cumin doesn't make you go, wow, then you need to listen to what Ethan has to say later, because what Burlap and Barrel's cumin makes us say that. We need 1 teaspoon of the silk chili. 1 teaspoon. That's a tablespoon, man.
I'll do half. So.
So, wow, I told them that we were not trained chefs. You didn't have to really like prove it. All right, 1 teaspoon of the silk chili.
And you can't really overdo it. So chili, it's not that hot of a chili, so it's not a slightly over is not going to do anything.
2 teaspoons. Grab a teaspoon. That's all right. 2 teaspoons of the smoked paprika. All right. That smells amazing.
Love the smell.
1 teaspoon of the salt, right over there. 1 teaspoon salt. I know. We tend to go by smell and I don't know, image.
Yeah.
It's like, but as Yousaf was writing up this recipe this time, I kept saying to him, "Oh no, you have to say exactly 5 shakes of black pepper." Where's my black pepper? Here we are. 5 shakes of black pepper.
That was it.
All right. 1 teaspoon of black lime. Black lime, everybody, we're going to learn a lot more about it in a little bit, but it is an excellent, excellent meat marinade because it acts like the citrus and really helps the spices to permeate into the meat.
And I love the fact this doesn't overdo the lemon part, so it's just perfect balance.
And then 3 tablespoons of oil. Now, of all the things, folks, I am allergic to olive oil. So in our house, we tend to use either an avocado oil or a canola oil, safflower oil. Today we're using avocado oil. I know, of all things to be allergic to, right? Olive oil. All right. Now, that is how easy this marinade is. Yousaf, your job.
Yes.
Is to get in there and massage it. All right, everybody, massage your chicken. It's had a rough week. It's dead. Give it a nice massage. Get those spices mixed well in. Well in. Boy, mine's Dutchy. So you basically want to do this for about a minute or 2. Make certain that your things get nicely mixed up. Pound it in. All right. How's everybody doing? I see Joan's probably doing well. Carrie and Judy, sounds like you are relaxing, cooking later. And Lynn is off camera, but I see she is. If you have any questions on the side, and I see that, is silk chili, Resham Pati chili? Ooh, that's a very good question. Ethan, if you're able to assist with any of the questions in the chat, that would be grand. Thank you.
Sorry to interrupt, Jen.
Yes.
It is because Resham means silk in Hindi. And, So it is, I think it is, yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. No problem.
Zareen, we missed you last month.
And it's a Persian word, Resham, actually.
I just want you to know. All right, let's come back to us. All right, whoop. All right, so the other things, folks. Whoops, you think you're done?
I think the chicken is nicely marinated.
All right. All right. So now, here's the big job we have. We got to let it sit.
Yes.
Why we really like making shawarmas in the summer, it is a super simple, easy summer dinner. Marinating this, we would normally, if we think about it the night before, we would put the chicken to marinate, refrigerate overnight, and then cook it when we get home. Quite honestly, I don't know what your households are like. We don't often plan ahead what we're going to have. So 30 minutes marinating like this will do a lovely, lovely job. Now, how the vegetarians, if you have your potatoes boiling, you want those to get incredibly soft. You're also going to be cutting your onions into a very, very, very small dice, because when we want to form our patties, we want this patty to be a bit of a consistency like a falafel, in between a falafel and like a corn cake. All right. And so you want that, the mince of the onion to be quite small. All right. So mince those things up on the side, let your potatoes boil. We're going to let that marinate. So like I said, this is a really easy dish to make. And it's so easy that you can either at this point go out and start throwing around the frisbee, or you can learn an awful lot more about the spices that have gone into this marinade. So while the chicken marinates and while the potatoes cook, we're going to turn over to Ethan. And Ethan, take it from there. Tell us more.
All these amazing spices you guys have.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me. I'm sorry I'm not there in person to get to taste the amazing food, but I'll have to imagine what it tastes like. And knowing what the spices taste like, I guess that helps. The other funny tip, we just realized this very recently, but completely coincidentally, the lids on our spice jars are exactly 1 tablespoon in volume. So
whoa, you know that.
This is true accident. We didn't realize it at all. But if you can't find your tablespoon, or you want to do a sort of a quick measure, a half tablespoon or something like that, the lid of the spice jar is pretty handy. My name is Ethan Frisch. I'm the co-founder of a company called Burlap and Barrel. We are a single origin spice company, a social enterprise working with smallholder spice farmers in 15 different countries. You are cooking with and tasting several of the spices that we source today. I also just wanted to note, I'm keeping an eye on the chat. So if anybody has questions about spices, cooking with spices related to today's recipe, related to any other recipes, feel free to ask them in the chat as you think of them, and I'll either answer them right away, or I'll come back around to them whenever it makes sense. There are obviously a lot of our spices in this recipe, and that's the way that I like to cook too. Just a lot of spices, a lot of different flavor profiles. Each spice has its own unique, flavor and texture and story behind it. It has a different impact on the dish, and when you mix them together, you can get such interesting, complex flavors. And the marination, whether it's chicken or veggies that you're going to grill or roast, such an effective and easy way to infuse spice flavor into whatever it is that you like to cook. I'll give you a little bit of background on the company first, and then we can talk about some of the specific spices that are in today's recipe. We, as a company, are about 5 years old. My background is half in restaurant kitchens. I was a line cook and a pastry chef in New York. And then I left kitchens to pursue the other half of my professional background, which is in international development. So I became an aid worker. I went to grad school, got a degree, and moved to Afghanistan, where I lived for about 2.5 years. I wasn't doing anything specifically related to food there, but obviously I love to cook. I've always loved eating and tasting interesting things when I travel. And one of the amazing things about my job in Afghanistan was that I got to travel quite a bit within the country to really remote rural areas, largely in the northeast, way up in the mountains. That's the Hindu Kush mountain range, which is essentially the western end of the Himalayas. Just an incredible geography, river valleys with these tall, rocky mountain peaks all around them. And it's also the environment where the cumin that Jenny mentioned earlier grows wild. It's a different species of cumin than you may have tasted before. If you've done much Indian or South Asian cooking, this is a species that would be called kala jeera, which means black cumin in Hindi or in Urdu. But it's botanically distinct from the standard cumin. And you'll notice that when you look at the seeds and even smell them, the seeds themselves are much smaller, much darker in color, with kind of pointy ends. And the flavor is a little bit less nutty than standard cumin, but more floral, more herbal. It smells sort of like pine to me. It has this great kind of caramelized onion, sort of a sweetness to it. Great in meat dishes, great in veggies. And the nice thing about this particular variety of cumin is that the seeds are so small that you don't need to grind them. You can just cook with the seeds whole. You can grind them if you prefer in a mortar and pestle or a little spice grinder, but the seeds will just fall apart as you cook. So I tasted that cumin for the first time. I had never tasted anything like it. I had worked in a high-end Indian restaurant in New York City called Tabla. So I thought I knew my way around a spice cabinet. And then I just, I think as anybody who's traveled and eaten interesting, amazing food in other countries will have had the same experience. You think you know what something tastes like, and then you taste it in its original form and you realize you had no idea. So that's what happened to me with the cumin. And I started bringing it home to share with friends in the restaurant industry in New York, and saw how excited they got. Chefs at Michelin-starred restaurants who I would have thought could get any ingredient they could possibly imagine. And it turned out that I, knowing basically nothing, could bring something home in a backpack that they had never heard of before, that they were really excited to cook with. And then at the same time, I was having similar conversations with producers, initially of cumin in Afghanistan, but then as I started to kind of play this idea out with producers in other countries, spice farmers in other countries too, who very often knew that there was a higher value market out there. They knew that they could be making more money for the spices that they grew, and they knew that they didn't have access to it. And I think, I'm sure Jenny or anybody else who's been involved in fair trade conversations will relate to this, that producers are aware of the money that they're not making in most cases. They know the value of what they produce, but they have a lot of trouble getting somebody to pay them that value, because spices, like so many other fair trade products, or now fair trade products, formerly commodity products, go through a very fragmented supply chain where a farmer will sell to a local broker or a consolidator, a truck driver. That person is buying from a couple of dozen small farms, selling on to somebody else with a bigger truck or a bigger warehouse, a slightly larger operation, and then that person sells on to somebody else, So the spices have changed hands easily 15 or 20 times before they've left the country of origin. The individual farmers who grew those spices have no idea what happened. They sell into that commodity supply chain, and that's the end of the story for them. Their product is getting mixed with their neighbors and someone else down the road and somebody else on the other side of the country. So anything that an individual farmer was doing to make their product unique in terms of the variety that they're growing or their agricultural methods, all of that goes out the window because it's just getting mixed together with everybody else's stuff. And farmers know that. And so the incentive system is backwards. Farmers are incentivized to grow quantity, not for quality. They get paid by volume, not by anything related to the flavor or the speciality of what they grow. And that just doesn't seem like a great model. So we started working on it in Afghanistan, and then very quickly connected with farms, actually a cooperative of organic farms in Zanzibar, Tanzania, and then a single cardamom farm in Guatemala. And those are our first three, built around this idea that if we could set up a supply chain where farmers could export their own crops directly, we could pay them more, often a lot more than they would make otherwise, and deliver a higher quality product with real terroir, with a sense of origin and love behind it. I mean, I think, you may have had this experience with apples or with other veggies or coffee, where something that's grown by a farmer who cares a lot about it, who knows a lot about it, is always going to taste better than the commodity alternative that you'll get at the supermarket. And that way of thinking had not been applied to spices before. And so that's what we decided to do. So we're 5 years in. We work with farms in 15 different countries, a total of about 350 individual farmers, some of whom we work with directly as individuals and some of whom we work with as members of cooperatives or associations. And many of whom have become great partners in expanding our network. So the black lime that you're cooking with comes from Guatemala, where it's grown not by the first farmer that we started to work with, but by one of his neighbors who grows limes. And they were interested in trying this drying method. And I'm seeing Yousaf and Jenny wave their hands. Can you hear me? Is my audio out?
No, we can hear you.
Oh, great. Okay, I'll keep going. So the black lime, black lime is a traditional Persian, Middle Eastern ingredient used a lot in Persian cooking and Iraqi cooking. It's just a plain old green lime, the same kind that you'd buy at the grocery store, but dried in the sun until it oxidizes. So the green lime turns black.
Okay.
And then it's ground up into a powder. So what you're working with today is just a whole lime dried in the sun and ground into a powder.
Can people hear us? No?
Yes, I can hear you. Yousaf, I can hear you.
Meaning,
You think after a year of Zoom we would
if not,
Yousaf and Jenny, I can hear you.
okay.
So the black lime grounded, dried in the sun, ground into a powder. It's the whole lime. So when you've cooked with lime before, you've probably cooked with lime
So
juice.
meanwhile, we figured this out.
But the black lime is the whole fruit. It's the skin and the pulp and the pith. So you get a lot more complex lime flavor from that whole fruit. And the drying process, the oxidation process, also adds this level of sort of roasty, savory flavor too, which is really nice, especially for a dish like this that's going to be grilled. Really complements it very nicely. And then
I can't hear.
Jenny and Yousaf are.
I can't hear you
Uh,
at all. Yeah, you know what, Sheree, let's try this.
The smoked paprika, which is also a headliner in this recipe,
I just put it on the
comes from Spain, where the peppers, it's a pepper variety called a Haranda pepper. It's a long, skinny pepper, kind of like the shape of your finger.
Should I turn the sound on?
It's a pepper called a Haranda pepper, a long, skinny red pepper, kind of the size and shape of a finger. The interesting thing about paprika from Spain in particular, paprika peppers, all peppers, chili peppers, sweet peppers, bell peppers, all peppers are native to the Americas. One of the very few spices that's native to the Americas, from an area of land from sort of southern Mexico down to northern South America. That's the native range of the chili pepper. The peppers that are grown in Spain were carried back to Spain from the Caribbean by Columbus and his crew. So Spain was the first place outside of the Americas to grow peppers in any form. And even the words that we use today in English, pepper, is a misnomer dating back to that confusion, and some of it intentional confusion, that Columbus was trying to convince everybody that he had in fact reached Asia, although people already knew and figured out pretty quickly that he had not reached Asia. But he was convinced, he died thinking that he had reached Asia. And so he called these peppers because he wanted to maintain that that facade. So the confusion that we have today between a black pepper and a chili pepper is we can blame that on Columbus and his crew. But they brought these seeds back to Spain. The seeds were handed out across different monastic orders and planted in different monasteries around the country. And that was the first time that peppers were grown outside of the Americas. And they started to breed them for different flavor profiles. And they started to process them in their own ways. And so the process of smoking pepper, which is what's done in Spain to dry the pimenton peppers, which gives them that amazing smoky aroma, that's still done in very similar ways to the way that it would have been done 400 years ago. So there are brick smokehouses in the fields, in the pepper fields. And the way that the smokehouses are built is the walls are full of holes. They use every other brick. And sometimes they create these pretty intricate designs out of the bricks, but there are a lot of openings in the walls. And there will be a fire pit on the ground floor and an attic with slats, wooden slats up on about 10 feet up in the air. So fresh peppers will be picked in the field, taken to the smokehouse, which is right there, piled into these attics, and then smoked very slowly over a very small, smoky oak fire. That process takes about a week, sometimes 10 days. Every day or two, somebody will climb up into the attic with a shovel and toss the peppers around to make sure that they're being dried evenly, but it's a very slow, very smoky drying process. And then ultimately they're stone ground, and that's why we get that incredible smokiness from the pimenton. I see there were a couple of questions, one about the flavor of the black lime. Is it bitter? It's not bitter exactly, although it does have a kind of a slight bitterness that you might associate with savory vegetables in the way that, lime peel or pith might be a little bit bitter. But for me, the primary note is tartness, is that sort of amazing lime aroma and flavor. Jenny and Yousaf, is the marination done, or should I keep talking?
No, you're good. Thank you. I cannot tell you, here we are many times worrying about our recipe. That's our biggest worry. Like, are we going to stay on track? Are we going to, I tend to go off base. He tends to not measure. And then we lost total sound. So we shouldn't have been worrying about a recipe. We should have been worrying about the tech. Thank you. No, I don't know about you folks. The more I learn from Ethan, the more I could just sit and listen and listen and listen. Truly, the first time I opened our Wild Mountain Cumin, I opened it, I ran in, and I'm like, Yousaf, it's like we're back in Pakistan again. Like, smell this. And we go to our 10-year-old, like, smell this. And even the 10-year-old could go, Mom, now that's cumin, That's, to me, thrilling. So, Ethan, thank you for bringing such amazing products to market. Is awesome. So I'm anxious to hear more. Folks, if you have more questions for Ethan, continue to put them in the chat. He will be talking a little bit later as we have another break in our recipe. So let's head back. And I'm just going to make certain I can see you all. All right. So we're going to just double check. Everybody, if you're doing chicken, where'd the chicken go? Yeah. If you're doing chicken, your chicken should be doing exactly this. Just sitting. That's all. Just taking it easy. Maybe shake it around a little, give it a little jiggle, whatever. Let it sit a little bit longer. If you need something to help you, remember, like I said, we topped our little somewhat of a lime drink with black lime. Drink a little something. We're now going to make our aloo tikka. All right, so if you have your potatoes, drain all the water off. All right, add your 1 chopped medium onion, really finely chopped, your 2 green chilies. Unless you're not a hot and spicy person, then just put 1 green chili in. But again, dice it and slice it real small. And a 1/3 cup of your cilantro and 1 teaspoon of salt, and either 1 teaspoon of your smoked paprika or your sweet paprika, whichever you'd like. Now, how to form them, sweetheart? Oh, I guess we didn't tell you. Yousaf and I worked together for like a million years. We started working together in 1994, and in 2000, we realized that we not only liked working together, but we sort of liked each other. So my only joke of the day is in 2003, we tied the knot. And now we are cooking together, which sometimes, how many of you find cooking with your spouse in the kitchen? Yeah, Wendy, I see you smiling. Cooking with your spouse is sometimes hilarious. So taking my spoon away. All right, so how to form the aloo tikka. I have my aloo tikka mixture already made. All right. If yours is, let me just show you. Whoops, sorry, which one? Okay. So you see it is the consistency of a loose cookie dough. You don't want it wet, okay? So if it is too wet, whoops, which one here? If it is too wet, add some flour to it. Add some flour or cornstarch, all right? For mine, I used a Yukon potato. I did totally drain it, but I added probably about 4 tablespoons of all-purpose flour to this to get the consistency. All right, so to form, clean hands. We all know now we clean our hands by singing happy birthday twice. I've done that. All right, we're gonna take a tablespoon. What's that?
If you put some oil in the pan.
You put oil in the hand? Well, I don't put oil in my hand. All right, so on my stovetop, I have maybe about 4 tablespoons of oil, and I have my oil on. I've had it on for a little while, so I've turned it down, but I'd say turn it to like a medium. And you're going to get your egg wash. I'm going to do mine with egg. You could do it with a slurry made from a little bit of cornstarch and water, but I have egg and water mixed here. So I am going to take a golf ball size, a little larger than a golf ball. I guess you can tell I don't go golfing because you keep moving me here. All right, right there. All right. I'm going to pat it down, not too flat. You're going to do the next one. Excellent. I'm gonna dip it in my egg. Should have kept it cold. And I'm gonna put it in my oil. Okay? And we're gonna fry that up. Yousaf, you're doing the next one? Excellent. To you. And while we're here on the stove, folks, this is not like our normal times. You know us to normally do 1, 2, maybe 3 different things. I don't think we've ever tried 4. I don't know if we'll ever try 4 again. For those of you who are making the vermicelli rice as well, here in my Dutch oven, I have, I've covered the bottom with, again, my avocado oil. All right, I have it on medium high. And I'm going to take 1 cup of vermicelli. So again, I have a semolina vermicelli. If you need something totally gluten-free, use a rice vermicelli. I'm going to add my vermicelli into the oil. I'm going to add it all so that you can see. You know, the dangerous part about now doing more than just fair trade rugs is that, look at that gorgeous dish we now just got from Tunisia, hand painted. And somehow it makes it home to our house. All right, so now Yousaf's frying this sweet, frying up. All right, so Yousaf's meanwhile making 3 tikkas. I am heating. Okay, I am cooking my vermicelli in the oil. Now, here's the thing, folks. You want to be very, very careful that you do not burn this. So I don't want to go too far away. You want to cook this until it's a nice light brown, not, I wouldn't say a dark brown, just slightly more golden than what you see here. And then we're going to add in our rice. I have 2 cups of basmati rice all on the side. What's that? I have 2 cups of basmati rice that I washed and I have soaked on this.
Yes,
All right, hold on, folks.
it's just a little longer to warm up.
All right. Talk amongst yourselves as we try to pull this around. Now, Yousaf, tell me, so for me, I met up with a shawarma. Well, I met up with my favorite shawarma
Yes.
in Pointe Claire, Quebec, at a little corner store that has a fancy French name. And if you want to ever hear how bad I am at pronunciation, I would tell you that. Where am I supposed to be looking? Shoot.
They're both like.
Oh, sorry. All right. So has a cute little French name that I can't pronounce, but we call it an Al's Corner Store because it's owned by no other than Al.
Al is half Lebanese and half
It's half
Canadian.
Lebanese. It's a gourmet
Yeah.
beer, craft beer shop that has a shawarma counter. And for the last 20 some years, as we go to the rug event at Des Milles Village in Pointe Claire, we always make Al's, our Wednesday night plans, our Friday night plans, and our Monday morning before we leave to drive back to the US plans. And Al has a love for both good chicken and excellent pickled turnips. Now, Yousaf, that's not where you met up with a shawarma for the first time.
No, shawarma has been, I've had shawarma, I can't count how many times I've shawarma. And it's funny, it's every place you go, there's some variety starting from Pakistan. So shawarma has been around, including Germany and all the other places that I've been to. And there's some variety of shawarma, but the best shawarmas I've had are from Toronto and actually Kitchener.
Not Lahore?
Well, Lahore is
Ooh,
always there.
ouch,
No,
sweetheart.
I'm never going to say not Lahore, but in North America, I should say, in Kitchener-Waterloo and Al's shawarma from Montreal. I have to say those shawarmas I don't forget. And every time I go back to those places, I make sure that I get it opportunity to go to Al Medina restaurant, who makes wonderful, wonderful shawarmas.
All right, I'm cutting you off, sweetheart. Now, everybody, if you can see my vermicelli is a golden brown. I'm gonna add my 2 cups of soaked basmati rice. All right, and I am going to coat it and fry it up quickly in my oil, just like my vermicelli. All right, and then I'm going to add, all right, this is where it's like rub tummy, pat head. Marge, Joan, anyone who is out there who's cooking with me, can you tell me how much water I said we're adding? I think I said 3 cups, but you know I don't measure. 3 cups, 2 cups, anybody? I think 3. All right, so.
3 to 4.
4 cups. All right.
3 to 4.
3 to 4. I'm going to add a little bit of salt. And I am going to add just enough water, 3 to 4 cups. So that, because I've soaked it, it will not take long. So I don't want to over add it. And remember when we made the basmati rice, everybody, where I said we're cooking this just until the rice stands up and says, hello there. And you know that to be true because when you will take off your lid, you'll see it standing. So first what we're going to do is bring that to a boil and then turn it down to a very, very low and keep it covered. Yousaf, tell me how's your TKs coming?
Well, the tikis are going great, I have to say. I'm gonna just make sure I get all the pieces on the side, but the tikis are almost about 70% done. So
You covered already.
sure, I went over one step about further.
Yes, you did. All right,
Out of
folks.
habit.
Anybody else feeling like you're rubbing tummy patting head, or do you have more people in your kitchen? You have more people in your kitchen? If you do, could you loan us some? Our 10-year-old loves when we do this cooking with Bunyaad time because we allow him to watch like a movie that otherwise we maybe wouldn't let him watch. But I think probably next time we're gonna have him down here helping us because we need his extra hands. All right, we're gonna make up a raita, all right? Again, it's gonna be a simple raita, and yes, you know how it is when you marry someone and you actually start to become and do things the way they do. I never was one who measured or followed instructions terribly well. Yousaf never followed. Have you ever
It's
followed a
all about
recipe?
feeling. It's all about what's in front of you. And you can balance things, as you see something, look at, you got 1 onion, you got, 1 piece of chicken, you know how to cook together.
Well, okay, so all that said, we're gonna quick make up a raita super fast because everything's getting done. And as much as our lovely little recipe is gonna tell us to like dry roast the cumin, indeed, you'll get a great flavor from dry roasting the cumin. Folks, we need to get this raita done. So you're gonna grab our yogurt, drain out a little bit of the excess water. Now, as I told you in our recipe, a Greek yogurt or a regular yogurt that's been drained maybe for an hour is probably best. Again, we got 70 new bales of carpets that we have not had time to be here at home lately. So therefore, thank you, Erin. We are having fun. So therefore, we're using regular yogurt, and actually, hardly said, we're actually using store-bought yogurt because we normally make our own, but it's going to be okay. The only thing is when you're not using a thicker yogurt, have your napkin ready, because what's going to happen is as you're using it as a base, because it's runnier, it's just going to fall out. So
Or-
figure out which section of your shirt you want it to fall on, or make certain to hold it over the plate or the tablecloth.
Yes. Keep it over the plate.
How's your TKs coming?
Looking good. They're
So you're-
starting to turn nice and brown.
Beautiful.
Yes.
And you're not burning them.
Nope.
Quite impressive.
Yes, it's
All right, but you know what? Your rice?
just starting to come together,
All right, well,
like meaning for the next step.
all right, so it is now boiling. You want to turn your rice down to low or medium low. Beautiful. All right, so to the raita. Be something. To the raita.
Yes.
All right, to the raita. We are going to add, again, folks, I'm not certain if we started carrying burlap and barrel because we needed new spices in our life or because we're committed to fair trade and everything that we do, or all those, everything involved. But it has totally revolutionized our cooking. We're going to take their Euphrates mint. Even though we have fresh mint outside, we are going to add a quarter cup-ish of the Euphrates mint into our yogurt. I'm going to add a half teaspoon. Sorry, Ethan, what was that? The cap is a tablespoon.
Right. The cap is a tablespoon. So like a third of the cap would be a teaspoon.
All right. Not necessarily. All right, so I'm going to say that the cap is a tablespoon. Yes, Ethan?
Yes, the cap is a tablespoon.
Okay. So I'm going to use maybe a half teaspoon to a teaspoon of cumin, because you can never go wrong with more cumin. I am going to add a little bit of salt. All right, a little bit more salt.
Yes.
All right. And we're going to add just a tad of sugar. Just a little bit. And I did not, yet again, I did not get to the grocery store for my green chili, so I'm going to use the carbonara chili and add just a tad into that. And what's nice is you can actually be fairly liberal with your carbonara chili because your yogurt is really going to help to cool it. Then I'm going to add some fresh cilantro. Can I have the kitchen shears? All right. Someone asked us recently, now you do tell people that you're not trained chefs, right?
Mhm.
And I said, oh, you guys obviously have never seen us cook. I think they'll know that within 5 seconds. But we have fun, and I don't know about you. I'm not worried if my chops are perfect. It's the taste, and it's the community that we're building around the table. That's more important to me. All right, I am going to mix this all up. And then a little bit soupy. Now, if you put this in a blender, you're going to have a much more homogenized mix. When I make shawarma, I go in between if I feel like cooking or cleaning the blender or not. Today I don't. So therefore, I'm going to mix it up like this. And then I'm going to take just a few of my little pieces of cucumber, chop them in. And again, you want to chop them small for the reason of making certain that when they fall on your shirt, it's not a large piece. So adding just about 1 to 2 tablespoons of chopped cucumber. All right.
I think they're about ready.
All right, so Yousaf, my raita is now ready. What I like too about shawarmas is you get something that when you have friends over, now that we can start having friends over, now that we're vaccinated, I think it's fun because you can hand a job to different people. Here, you do this, you do that. So I made the raita. Yousaf, can you serve up those tikka? And then we're going to be moving on, chicken people. We're going to be pulling out our chicken just very, very shortly. All right, so Yousaf, you dipped yours in egg, right?
Yes.
Perfect. All right.
Whole egg and-
All right, now, Ju, which camera do you have us on? I have so many. All right, so can you take us over? When we bought this house a gazillion million years ago, the people before us in the probably 20s installed this nifty grill. I knew when I saw that the entryway was purple and orange that I wanted the house. When Yousaf saw this grill, he knew he wanted the house.
It was actually transplanted from local kitchen. So they just moved the whole thing and kind of like installed it here.
All right, so I want you to know, thank you, everybody. I have been waiting for him to clean this up and get it like re-gassed. And because of you all, we now have it gassed and ready. So here's, whoa. Is your chicken happy?
Yes.
All right, so we are now going to take our marinated chicken. All right. If you have access to a grill, it is amazing over a grill. If you don't sweat it. Pan fry it. Just make certain that you're cooking it till it's just done, not until it's dead. All right. So
Should be nice and soft.
Yousaf's going to put both the oil marinade, and then if you see, this is my yogurt marinade that I made earlier today. A little bit more turmeric-y. And that looks nice. Yousaf, your grill is fairly hot though, right?
Yep. The grill is very nicely done.
All right. So as Yousaf is beginning to get the grill going, I hear the sizzle. Can everyone else hear the sizzle? You can hear the sizzle? Wendy, can you hear the sizzle? No, Zareen can't hear the sizzle.
Oh, because the sound is turned off on the.
Ah, oh, no, don't turn it on, don't turn it on. All right, I'll make the sizzle sound because if I turn it on, we're gonna have reverb. Sorry, Zareen, hold on. How's that? Oh, sorry. Yeah, sorry. As I tell people, I probably would be vegetarian, but I married a Pakistani, so I'm not very good with my chicken searing sounds. All right, so while that chicken is searing, our aloo tikkis are ready. I think we're gonna head back over to Ethan to amaze us a little bit more with some spices, because Ethan, here's the thing. You're confusing the bejeebies out of me, and you're amazing me. So I'm used to this regular turmeric, new harvest turmeric, this standard yellow turmeric. But then Burlap and Barrel just introduced red turmeric and blue turmeric. Tell me more.
Yeah, so turmeric, like any other ingredient, like any other plant, there are a lot of different varieties, and it grows in a lot of different colors and shapes and flavors. Turmeric is, if anybody doesn't know, it's a root, actually a rhizome of a plant very closely related to ginger. It's also related to cardamom. It's in the same family as cardamom. And the turmeric, fresh turmeric, looks a little bit like a thumb, kind of brown to beige in color. It grows underground in these clusters. And our new harvest turmeric comes from India, from a single farm. I mentioned earlier, sometimes we work with individual farmers, sometimes we work with cooperatives. The turmeric is from an individual farmer. His name is Dr. Salamke. He grows in Maharashtra, which is the same state that Bombay is in, but he grows his farm is about 5 or 6 hours south of Bombay. He, by training, is an Ayurvedic practitioner, an Ayurvedic doctor and pharmacologist. And he, was frustrated seeing a lot of the same diet-related diseases come up again and again with his patients, and decided to go all the way back in the supply chain and become a farmer himself. And so he's been growing for about 10 years, and we've been working with him for about 4 years and buying pretty much everything he grows for the last 2 years. So that's the new harvest turmeric. It's a variety called Salem turmeric, and it's particularly sweet. It has kind of a buttery flavor profile. It's not bitter, although most turmeric that you buy in the grocery store will be what's called polished. The skin is peeled off before it's ground. And that's mostly for color, to give it kind of a brighter yellow color. The skin is a little darker, and so darkens the color overall. He dries it with the skin still on, grinds it with the skin still on, because he feels, and this is true in a lot of veggies, that the skin is at least as healthy, if not more healthy, than the pulp of the vegetable itself. So it does have the skin still on it, which gives it a little bit of a sort of earthy, slightly more savory flavor. And then the other two turmerics are both from Vietnam. Vietnam has the widest range of turmeric colors of any country I've ever been to, and the craziest one is the blue turmeric. You'll have to go to our website to see what the turmeric looks like when it's fresh. It is truly a shocking shade of blue. I don't know if you can see that blue crusade pot that's on the stove, but you'll find blue turmeric, fresh blue turmeric that is really that color. There's a wide range. Some of them are a little kind of green blue. Some of them are violet. Some of them are really deep blue, but many of them are really a bright, vivid kind of primary color blue. And then it loses that blue color, unfortunately, as it dries. And we've tried, I don't know, a half dozen different ways to dry it and seeing if there was some way to hold the color, but we haven't figured it out yet. It's used mostly medicinally in Southeast Asia and in South Asia as well. It's in Hindi and Urdu, it's called kala haldi, which means black turmeric. Haldi is turmeric. And it's called black turmeric. I've heard several explanations. The skin of the fresh turmeric is much darker, almost a black color, dark brown, almost black. So I've heard that explanation. Or when it dries, it also turns a dark, not quite a black, but yeah, you can see sort of a gray, kind of a gray-green color. And I've heard that described as black. The flavor, this is a tricky ingredient to work with. I'm really impressed, Jenny, that you decided to include it in this dish. It's bitter. It's quite bitter, but I find a really pleasant, sort of a veggie kind of a bitter way, similar to bitter melon that you might get in South Asian cooking, or even broccoli rabe or broccolini. A lot of cruciferous veggies will have that kind of bitterness that, it almost tastes healthy. And that's the case with the blue turmeric. It also has almost like a minty menthol cooling effect on your tongue as you cook with it. So I like to add just a tiny little bit into stews in particular. Any vegetable soup or stew, I find that the bitterness of the turmeric works really nicely with the natural sweet bitter flavor that you find in veggies. And then the red turmeric is likewise just a different variety. The blue turmeric is a different species. The red turmeric is not a different species, just a different variety. And true to its name, a much darker, kind of an orange, almost red color. I find it to be sort of a sweeter, almost a carroty, maybe I'm just projecting from the orange color, but I find that it tastes like carrots, like sweet carrots. I see there's a question about using the turmerics as dyes. That sounds like a carpet expert question to me rather than a culinary question. So maybe I'll hand the mic back over to, are there any carpet experts on the line?
I think I know one. All right, got me. All right, so can the turmeric, Yousaf, can turmeric be used as dye? Can everyone hear us? Yes, good. All right. Turmeric used for natural dyes.
Yes, it gets used for natural dyes, mostly for fabric though. The skin has more color than the actual, the gut of the turmeric. And so if you want to use it for wool, then you tend to use more of the skin of it. But the rest of it is good for the fabrics that people wear, people use for like tablecloths and stuff like that.
All right, I don't like the meat dead.
Nope.
All right, just checking. Sorry, he gets to talking and then before you turned it down.
Yes.
All right, good. Excellent. All right, so folks, thank you, Ethan. I'm sorry, like every time you speak about your spices, I don't want to go to work and I just want to cook, because truly your spices make these dishes jump. And I think what I really like, the more we can fair trade, the more we can think about putting social justice into our everything, into our socks, into our underwear, into our dishes, into our spice cabinet, into our carpets, the more we're creating a more just world for all. I think we've all learned how important it is over this past year to be able to earn a fair and living wage. I think this last year has taught us, I don't know, for me, it really helped to level this playing field of, I never worried about being unemployed. I never worried about going outside and being scared. And I think this past year, it became very real to me what so many families around the world are dealing with when they don't have an income that they know is good for them to feed their family, send their kids to school. And in areas where the other parts of life are so very uncertain, I think to have that fair income just helps to give that structure, that safety net that we all need. And I think that for us this last year, that's really taught us that. Now, folks, we have a competition. It's all coming together. The meat is off of our grill. The tiques are done. My rice, I'll show you in a little bit. But I want to see some good looking shawarmas. Okay, now how to build a shawarma, everybody. This is how. Again, remember I said we cheated because this is supposed to be easy summer entertaining. I went out and found Mediterranean flatbread. You can also use naan. You can also use just a standard really thin pita, whatever you would like. Yousaf likes to heat them because they need to be heated. They're just better when they're warm. So he heated them on the grill. And I'm going to build my shawarma. Okay, I'll give you a quick rundown of how I like to build it. I like to first take my raita, add it all over the bread. Okay. And if you're smart, let it go into the bread and then you won't drop it on your clothing. All right. We slice up our chicken very small. Okay. What I love about this dish too is we do eat meat, but we try to eat a lot less meat. So shawarmas allow you to probably take a few chicken breasts and feed a huge amount of people. So I am going to take a few slices. Chicken is a little more than normal there. A few slices, all depends. When I was cooking with our young nephew from Dublin today, he says, but Jenny, I do think we want more meat than that, don't you think? So I would put this much on. I would then pull in. All right, see here. Can everyone see that? I have my cucumbers that are sliced like matchsticks. I would top it like that. And then, where's my lettuce? All right, I would add a little bit of shredded lettuce on top. And I'd sprinkle some fresh cilantro. That's how I like mine. Everybody has their own. And then we would roll this up and eat it. All right, now, folks, you've seen me do it. You have 2 minutes to build yours. And then we're going to come around and see who has their best dressed shawarma. Now, just 2 minutes. You say, how do you know just 2 minutes? Well, because, like I told you, we normally don't do cooking. We normally talk rugs. That's what we standardly do. Could I have the face camera? So what we thought we'd do is in the 2 minutes that you're going to be making your beautiful shawarma, we're going to tell you what we normally talk about, rug making. So, let's show them rug making in just 2 minutes. Again, everybody. Let's try rug making this time. I know, Judy, I know. We're all thinking about the shawarma. It's really hard to stay focused when you smell this amazing smell. Rug making, 2 minutes.
A hand-knot Bunyaad rug goes through many hands and many steps. From spinning and dyeing the wool, to designing, painting, and translate the rug design into a written system called talon, allowing the artisans to read the correct amount of knots and collars to tie into a rug. They start by setting up the loom with vertical threads called a warp. Artisans will then work on the rug, putting one knot at a time, creating rugs with hundreds of knots per square inch. One of these rugs can take up to a year and a half to complete. Generally, one artisan will call out the design to everyone working on the loom, in an amazing synchronized knotting flow. They would then secure the rope with horizontal threads called weft, and pack each row pile with a comb-like tool called the punja. The rug is then cut off the loom and taken for cleaning. First, torching the back of the rug to get rid of the wool fuzz, and then washed several times with soap and bleach. This process alone will take several days to guarantee a nice, clean rug. During the finishing process, the rug is sheared to its desired length and checked to assure its quality and look. This process includes blocking, stretching, and applying neem on the back of the rug, moth-proofing it for life. Once the rug is finished, the fringes are tied to secure the rug. A quality rug can be made anywhere by anyone, but it takes time, quality materials, and skilled adult hands. Fair trade puts all of this together, improving artisans' lives and bringing high-quality crafts to your home.
All right, so in 2 minutes, they made a rug. You think you could make a pretty good looking shawarma in 2 minutes? I bet you did. While you were watching the rug making, I made my vermicelli rice shawarma dish. So I have my vermicelli rice. I have my chicken on the side. I have my raita right here. And then I have my salad of mixed greens and cilantro. How's that look, Lynn? What do you think? Yummy? Excellent. So now we're in between the shawarma on the pita or with the vermicelli rice. And just so you can see what the vermicelli rice looks like in the end. Don't worry, Lynn, if you're behind, we're not coming for dinner. Don't worry at all. And then what's awesome is the leftovers are exceptional. So let's see here. I got to figure out which camera. That's the harder part. So you see how the rice is sort of standing up, looking good. And honestly, folks, if you are able to make this with olive oil, it does have an amazing taste with olive oil. However, if I want to go to work tomorrow, we won't be making it with olive oil. So avocado oil does love it. All right, let's see. Does anybody have one ready? David, I think you have a helper that I don't think you're cooking today, David, but I do believe you have a helper who has been very patiently watching. Hello there. How are you?
That's right.
You've cooked with us before. Which one do you think looks good? The one with bread or the one with rice?
I love eating bread.
You love eating bread? Okay, here, can you grab this one? Here, grab it. Here, I'm going to give it to you. Grab it. Grab it. Oh, good job. Good job. All right, let's head over to the mother-daughter combo, Rebecca and Leonore. Hello there. Sorry, I totally, oh, you're marinating overnight.
Yeah, the grill master just showed up here.
I'm ready.
Excellent. Now you're clear. You're not going to cook it till it's dead. You're going to cook it till it's nice and juicy and delicious.
Yes.
Now, based off of, it seems, Rebecca, that you might be in Louisville.
I am, yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Hey, you need to go over and see our friends, Joan at Just Creations, while you're in Louisville. Oh, they look good, Leonore. They look amazing. Awesome. Thank you so much. I'm so glad to see you all together. Carrie, we're coming over to your kitchen next, or your household. Hello there. Carrie, how is, Carrie, I had.
It's still raw.
Well, not a problem. So tell us, is your grill master maybe tired from working this week?
Oh, no.
Okay, so you guys are deciding which grill master is which. That's excellent.
We
All right.
started marinating last night.
Truly, being able to marinate all night is the best way to go. But what I love about this, especially with that black lime, it marinates super deliciously fast. So excellent. I'm so glad to see so many parents with their children in the same space. That's fantastic. And Lynn, let's come to you. Oh, Lynn, you're missing all your extra hands today. Hold on.
I am.
Yeah, where's all your
Emily finished breaking up my vermicelli for me. I haven't even started my rice.
Well,
I had big hopes of getting all the prep done early, and all I got done was chopping mint. So,
not a problem.
But I have a bone to pick with you.
Uh-oh.
I wish you had shown me the recipe when I was there on Thursday. I would have bought more spices.
Well,
I didn't know all the ones that I needed, so I've had to use some inferior spices.
Well, I know we can help you with that. Even if you don't want to make it into the store, we do ship. So don't worry, we will get them to you. Lynn, thank you as always for joining us. Folks, I hope you had fun. We did too. Ethan, I can't thank you enough for joining us. Ethan, I believe, is outside of his standard New York City apartment, is actually, I believe, vacationing in upstate New York. And I'm just so tickled that you took time out of your vacation to educate us about what it means and the difference that socially equitable spices can do.
You told me you were going to be making shawarma and aloo tikki, so obviously I had to be here at least virtually. Next time I'll have to drive down in person.
That would be lovely, because one of the things, and Yousaf made certain so you couldn't see it, but like, we are cooking on a gorgeous rug, and quite honestly, we've dropped stuff on the gorgeous rug, so we can even show you maybe next time how easy it is to clean said gorgeous rug when you drop said turmeric encrusted chicken on top of it. So thank you ever so much. Folks, next month is July 11th. We always do the cooking second Sunday of the month. Next month is July 11th. We are going to be departing from Pakistan just slightly, but Zareen, that does not mean you can leave us, because we're going to need your input, okay? So next month, July 11th, we'll be doing the recipe reveal in just another week or so. If when you do cook your recipe, if you wouldn't mind posting it up to social media with a hashtag cooking with Bunyaad. Bunyaad, you said? What is Bunyaad? It means foundation in Urdu, because that is what Fair Trade is doing, providing the much needed foundations. Thank you for joining us, for creating community in this way. Zareen, you have, I believe, a question. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, please. I saw an ad of the Buddha knot for your earrings. They were absolutely spectacular looking, and I can't seem to find them on my email.
The Buddha knot?
Yes.
The Buddha knot, Zareen, I will email you the link for the Buddha knot. Now, I will tell you the ones that I'm wearing. The danger, Zareen, of now not only dealing with rugs, but other fair trade products is how many of those items come home. So if you're interested in the earrings I'm wearing, I bought the last pair and I'm waiting for more to come in.
I'm very interested in the Buddha knot.
Okay, I will connect with you afterwards. We still have those in stock. Everybody, thank you so very much. Until next month, continue to create community and beauty in your own communities through food and through sharing what you love, to talk with folks and to create justice and more fairness. So, what's that?
Margarita.
Oh, margarita. I drank all the margarita. Sorry, everybody. I drank all the margarita. So until then, goodbye and
Khuda Hafiz.
Khuda Hafiz.